American Time Capsule, Kepler Broadcast Project, by Isabel Ribeiro and Andrina Conception. We have chosen the Sherman Antitrust Act as our document to show what is best about the United States. This act was passed by Senator John Sherman, whose main goal was to protect the people from businesses that were growing too large and taking advantage of them. This is shown in Section 1 of the Act, which states, "Every contract, combination in the form of trust or otherwise, or conspiracy and restraint of trade or commerce among the several states or with foreign nations, is hereby declared to be illegal." This act was chosen because it shows how the United States is willing to put the common man's interests first and protect them from the dangers of unregulated businesses. These political cartoons show the public's frightened demeanor at the time. The image of the mammoth shows how people viewed trust as large, dangerous things which they hope would become extinct, while the second image shows how the government has been revived through the Sherman Antitrust Act, as it has now been given the power to fight back against the monopolies that were previously trying to bury it. Due to the wealth acquired, monopolies and trusts had gained the power to 1. Inflate prices and lessen the quality of products, as there is no worry of a competitor, 2. Underpay workers and have them work for long hours in a terrible condition, and 3. Bribe state officials to not enforce laws that would restrict their power and growth. However, through this act, every person who shall monopolize or attempt to monopolize or combine or conspire with any other person or persons to monopolize any part of trade or commerce among the several states or with foreign nations shall be punished. This showed other countries the importance of fair trade and business in a capitalist economy and prevented the formation of international monopolies.
For a non-artistic artifact that best exemplifies what is best about the United States, we have chosen the flag on the moon from the moon landing. The image shown is of American astronaut Neil Armstrong on the moon next to the United States flag. The race to the moon between the United States and the Soviet Union is called the space race, and they are fighting to get more power as a democracy to control the spread of communism. This was chosen because the race to the moon was an important landmark in space exploration, as it helped jumpstart more space projects such as satellite launching, space probes to explore other planets, and human spacewalks. Since the United States made it to the moon, they pioneered the space exploration road for other countries. The United States showed that putting people in space was possible, which led to the formation of other countries' aerospace exploration companies and the International Space Station. For our cultural artifact, we have chosen Rosie the Riveteer. Rosie the Riveteer is an influential poster girl from the World War II era that empowered women to enter the workforce while the men were all fighting in Europe. With the men gone, the women were supporting the U.S. economy, and Rosie was there to encourage them to continue working in factories while the men were still in Europe. Rosie did not just empower women during World War II, but she also showed women that they were more than capable of doing the same jobs that men were able to do. She led to a permanent increase in the amount of women in the workforce and was an icon for women's equality around the United States. Rosie showed other countries and people all around the United States that women could work just as well in male-dominated areas of work, and in some cases, they could do the job even better.
The person we have chosen that exemplifies the values of the United States is Theodore, also known as Teddy, Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt served as the 26th President of the United States from 1901 to 1909, in a time period known as the Progressive Era. It was called this due to the mass social and political reforms made throughout this era, most of them during his presidency. Teddy Roosevelt was the author of the Square Deal program, which focused on corporate trust busting, consumers' protection, and the conservation of the environment. Teddy broke over 40 monopolies, one of the most notorious being Rockefeller Standard Oil, which controlled around 90% of the oil market. He also worked to pass the Meat Inspection Act and created the FDA to protect consumers against the manufacture, sale, and transportation of mislabeled food and drugs. Teddy also legalized labor unions, which gave hard-working, lower to middle-class Americans the legal authority to protest against injustices committed by their employers, such as extremely low wages, long hours, and unsafe working conditions. President Theodore Roosevelt, by listening to the concerns of the public, gave power to American citizens and made their voices heard, which shows the world the important American ideals of democracy, rights to all social classes, and economic opportunity, thus serving as a model for other countries and showing them the road to economic equality and justice. The event we have chosen that exemplifies the best of America is the March on Washington. This Civil Rights March was a massive protest against the civil and economic injustices African Americans were still facing after a century of emancipation. This mass public outcry resulted in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which guaranteed equal voting rights, outlawed discrimination in public spaces, and encouraged school desegregation. We chose this event because it emphasizes the American rights of freedom of speech and peaceful protest, which are stated in the amendments, and because it shows America taking steps to achieve racial equality. This showed other countries the positive impact of nonviolent demonstrations, and the need for human rights to expand in order to include everyone, regardless of race and skin color.